Brought to you by DK Audio.
DK Audio presents Against the Odds, Hurricane Katrina by DK. Read by Akko Mitchell. Chapter 1. Jake brings his bike to a stop at the end of the bridge to let a car pass him. The cans of food dig into his back. It's uncomfortable. He shifts his backpack a little, hoping for a better angle. They settle a bit, and Jake takes a moment to look at the afternoon sky. Everybody's been talking about a big hurricane headed towards New Orleans. There isn't a sign of it yet, but people can feel it coming. There's a tension in the air, a shivery sense of danger that Jake feels deep in his chest. Jake's granny doesn't worry much about storms, but she always makes sure they're stocked up on food before one arrives. Since she's unable to drive, it falls to Jake to run to the grocery store and carry everything home on his bike. Jake is unbothered by this task since it gives him an excuse to ride around the city. He likes how his bicycle gives him independence. He can go almost anywhere cars can go, and lots of places they can't. More than that, though, riding his bike calms him. The steady, repetitive movement of his legs helps dispel the stress he feels building up in his chest. Now, even with the storm coming, being on his bike gives him a sense of peace and control. Honk. Behind him, a driver lays on their horn before taking a sharp right turn. This storm has everyone on edge. Jake shakes off the sudden interruption and glances at the road ahead of him. It slopes down from the top of the levee wall into the basin of the lower 9th Ward. Almost the entire neighborhood Jake lives in is surrounded by levees. They hold back the high canal waters like large, sturdy walls. The levees are old, but they've held up well for decades. Jake looks at the dark water off to his right. It is undisturbed despite all the reports of the incoming storm. Jake checks to make sure there are no cars before pulling back into the lane and riding his brakes down to the light at the first intersection. Some of the buildings in the lower 9th are closed, with boards nailed over the windows and sandbags piled in front of the doors. His favorite corner store is boarded up like this, in the hope that it will keep the shops safe. The shelves were almost bare before they closed anyway, with people gathering all the food they could to prepare for the storm. Jake had to leave the lower 9th Ward to find a store with enough food still in stock, and even then, there wasn't much food left. As he bikes along, a few restaurants are still open, and the thick, homey smell of cooking seafood and rice wafts into the street. Jake takes a deep, appreciative breath, glad for the hint of normalcy. "Stay safe out there," one shop owner yells at Jake as he passes by. And once again, the normalcy is gone. A couple of turns later, Jake arrives at his house. He jumps the low curb and rides his bike up the narrow concrete path to the porch. He leans the bike up against the exterior of the house and unloads the milk crate that he keeps on the back. Jake piles the grocery bags at the top of the porch steps before undoing his backpack and adding it to the pile. Before he takes all the bags inside, Jake wheels the bike around the back of the house. He grabs a rag from the small shed they have in the yard. It holds tools for gardening and carpentry, but Jake cleaned up enough space to store his bike inside to keep it safe and out of the weather. Jake wipes dirt off the bright red paint of his bike.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?